So thank you so much for joining us. If you're watching today, we are very excited. It's this been upgoing program here, and I'm with somebody here very, very, very dear to our hearts, and it's Aaron. How
Hello.
you been, Aaron?
I have been well, thank you.
Oh man, we are so excited because you've been here with us at Vine. How things going with Vine, and how
Uh,
we treating you?
I have been loving it. I have been loving it. Everyone is friendly. Everyone is hilarious, and
Okay.
everyone's working hard. I can see the fruits of you all's labor.
Nice, nice. Well, it's been a pleasure to be here this whole week. And one of the things that we've been talking about is to creating, back and before COVID, we started to do this program for youth. It was called um, Joy, Jesus unto you. And in one of those things, we have this program called Couch Talk. And today we don't have a couch because we actually on the set for the series that we have, and we all have hope here at our church. But we are excited to be able to be with Aaron today. And I want to start this by saying something cool. I mean, interesting. You know, what is interesting about Aaron?
What is interesting about Ant? I guess maybe without without talking too much, probably the most interesting thing about me is that I love doing a lot of things. So
Okay.
anyone who knows me, has known me for any length of time, knows that I have a lot of interests and I get pulled into those interests.
Yeah, yeah.
And so it's a blessing and a curse, because you learn how to do a lot of things, but at the same time, you never get really really good at any one thing, because before that happens, you're onto something else.
Okay. But where is Aaron normally doing all those things nowadays?
Aaron is doing those things in Fairfax, Virginia. So
Virginia.
I grew up in Tacoma Park, Maryland,
Okay.
and I now live in the Northern Virginia area.
Nice. And by yourself or
Oh no, 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 no! The house is full. I've
Okay.
my wife of a little over 5 years,
Okay.
and I live with my brother-in-law, her brother, and we have a small dog.
Okay,
Small dog.
nice.
So
I have two small
the
dogs too.
house is active.
That's nice. That's nice. Well, so how far are you from here?
It's funny. So I had a connecting flight that went to Atlanta and then back to North Carolina.
Shit, I guess that
So
makes sense.
I think normally it's probably about a 5 or 6 hour drive.
Okay.
But yeah, fortunately,
So that is
I flew.
actually good. So that means that we can invite you during the weekends, come and play with
Exactly
us
right.
and hang out
Exactly
with
right.
us. 5 hours. It's
Exactly.
nothing, right?
That's
So it's
just
very,
a,
very close. Huh?
just almost a shift.
That's awesome. Well, Aaron, I have a couple of questions for you today, and they're very simple. I already talked to you about them a
Sure.
little bit, but it's because it's important for us to have these talks when it comes down to knowing people, and especially at church.
Hmm.
You know, we we don't have our own artists often.
Hmm.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I like the fact that you are part of us, and that is something really, really cool. And I would like to know what was your first, I mean, the question is what first got you into music?
It's a good question. I grew up around a lot of music. While neither of my parents were professional musicians, they were always making music. My dad was in a singing group with some of his friends and peers. It was called the Fifth Season.
Okay.
My mom has 7 sisters and 2 brothers, and they all are musical. And so they would often sing for church. They would always be playing music around the house. So from there, we took instrument lessons as small kids, and I think that's what kind of cultivated a love for music.
So I guess this next question you kind of like answer it, and I'm wondering because I think I already have the answer.
Okay.
Who inspired you to make music?
Um, a lot of people, I would say. My dad
You
was
see,
was
yeah,
one of my
because the way you explained it.
yeah,
Yeah.
my dad was one of the more
Okay.
instrumental
Yeah.
factors in why I decided to get into music. Um, he is very much a music head, if you will. He had for a while about 4 cabinets of alphabetized
Gotcha.
CDs of world music, different genres, um, and that had the biggest effect. My favorite artist, I think, or one of the most influential artists, was a kind of, it was probably late 80s, late 80s 90s into the 2000s. His name was Brian Duncan.
Hmm. I
Are you
heard him. Yeah.
familiar? Yeah,
Yes.
he's I believe he's a Baptist musician,
Yeah.
but very much into gospel. I remember going to a concert of his when I was a kid and just being so into it.
Hmm.
I know a lot of his songs by heart. It has a special place, and that was very influential, especially
Nice.
the lyrics that he wrote, and how he approached creating music.
Okay, nice. Awesome. We heard you already singing a couple of songs here. And by the way, if you want to hear a little bit more music, you have to come. Every night we're here, and then you're going to be here with us Friday night and Saturday morning.
Yes.
You can't miss this. And one of the songs that you played was an original song. And it goes with what I'm going to ask you now next. Is this, how will you describe the music that you typically create?
Sure. So maybe I'll answer that in two ways. So content-wise, content-wise, the music that I create is very lyrically driven. Um, music is a vehicle to communicate a message, and that message is most often the impact that God and His goodness has had in my life, and kind of sharing my story in that context. So I try to be sincere and thoughtful in the lyrics that I write, in a way that encourage people to think more deeply about life and about purpose and about meaning. And then sonically, there's a pretty heavy jazz influence.
Yeah.
Maybe pop jazz,
Okay.
mixed with a little soul and
Yeah.
some kind of folk influence as well.
So walk me, and this is another cool question. Walk me through a process of how you create music.
Sure. Okay. So it's funny, the way I approach it, kind of systematically, is similar to the way, if you in school ever had to write a 5-paragraph essay.
Yeah.
I kind of approach it like that. So the content of the song has to center around a central theme,
Okay.
right? And that's like your thesis statement, right?
Gotcha.
And so once I know what that is, I'll write the chorus typically. From there, I'll write a verse, which is kind of an extension
Gotcha.
of that theme.
Yeah.
Once I've written the chorus and the first verse, the song's body is kind of there. I'll typically pick a progression that I like. I'll start playing different chord progressions, depending on if there's a specific style that I'm going for, if I'm trying to write in a certain genre. And it's pretty organic from there.
Interesting. Huh. How long it takes you to create one song?
So each my creative process is different from the next person's, but I tend to write songs pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Pretty early in my songwriting journey, I kind of came to the realization that writer's block is not I'm not helpless to writer's block. There are things that you can do to kind of keep yourself in a creative space, or to increase the flow of your creative juices, if you will. Sometimes it's just spending a little more time. Sometimes it's standing up, stretching, sitting back down. But I'll typically write a song cumulatively in maybe 4 or 5 hours.
Huh.
So it's funny. I'm writing a song currently.
4 or 5 hours.
Yeah. So yeah, not always at the same time, but generally, as long as I can get the chorus and the verse down, the rest of the song is very easy to write, because then the kind of character of the song is already there.
Gotcha.
And it would just be like if someone said, "Hey, can you just make up another verse that sounds like the first verse?"
Yeah.
So it's typically pretty quick. I have had songs where I've started it and I've had to put a pin in it, and then I've come back maybe a month later.
A month.
But it's not generally because I want to do that. I generally like to sit down and get that idea fleshed out, because I have this maybe irrational fear that if I don't finish the song there and then I might lose an idea, or I might lose the development. So I'll at least try to get a little sound bite. I have an audio recorder on my phone. I'll sing it into it, or yeah.
Interesting. That's cool. I have a couple of more questions, but
Sure.
Since we've been talking about this creation, I'm kind of like gonna go away from my questions because listening to your material, I picked something in is that you use some elements, different elements of styles in each song, and I love that because it creates something unique within the song, and also something that people can connect, especially how sometimes people say, hey, I like this style of music, this style. And one of the things that I like is sometimes when you start and bring those verses and you start kind of like rapping, kind of like creating that, how do you come up with that?
Sure. So I can't pretend that it just came from inside me.
Yeah.
I think we're all influenced by things around us. I have been pretty heavily influenced by some of the musicians and poets and rappers that I listen to. I do consider myself it's funny, I consider myself more of a poet, or maybe a poet first. A poet before I'm a musician. I really like words and language, and the use of kind of figures of speech and double entendres. And so hearing popular music and hearing people kind of mix spoken word and rap with singing, with vocal music, just kind of encouraged me to think more about doing it myself. And so a couple of attempts were made, and it's still in its young stages.
Nice.
Yeah, that's something I'm interested in.
Cool. Well, you know what? You got your guitar here. So how about if you play something for us? And guys, if you guys are interested more about music and what he does, please come tomorrow night, and also on Saturday. He's gonna be here with us playing his music. Would you mind playing something for us?
I would love to. Yeah, really I would love to. Thank you. Sure. This is a song. This is a song called "Short Sight."
Nice, Short Sight.
If I become famous, I'll set an example for social involvement. When I have a following, that's where I'll lead. When I make my millions, I'll give to a charity, help out some orphans and people with needs. But for now, I'll just waste my influence and time. Because I don't see the value of my status currently. My freedom of speech has a limited reach. I'll never touch people out there unless I can understand the few friends I have and the minutes of free time I find are perfectly useful for healing the world. And then God kind of breaks through like this. You always were so hard-headed. Always took a while to get it. Your short side in hindsight is cross-eyed and one-sided fate. My spirit is what makes the difference. After you digest the word is written, and realize that all that you need are the tools that you've got. And now, the millions or hundreds of thousands of minutes I'll have in my pocket. Way 2 times the money when spent with intent. My single opinion has proved influential in circles where God's love is seen in my life, and it's all for his patience in trimming this tree. Because now I see the value of my status currently. My freedom of speech has unlimited reach to touch all those people out there. It's crazy, I understand. The few friends I have and the minutes of free time I find are perfectly useful for healing the world. Though we be collections of broken humanity, power to speak, love at its peak, a catalyst he has prepared. The crux of the gospel truth is whether or not we'll surrender ourselves to its use as perfectly useful for healing the world.
Awesome. That is great.
Thank you.
Well, I want you to look on that camera and then tell the people how can we get that amazing music, how we can get with you, just in case we want to bring you to our church.
Sure.
How can we do that?
Yeah, of course. So if you stream music, all of my music is available on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube Music, every streaming service that's available. If you want to learn a little more about me, you can go to thinkdeepermusic.com. I'm also on social media, but thinkdeepermusic.com has all the links to all of my content everywhere.
We will have all those informations right at their comments so that you can go there and click on. Thank you so much for joining, Aren. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you
being
so much
here.
Thank you for watching.
Looking forward. Guess what, guys? He's gonna be here, like I said, on Friday night, 7:30, for a really nice concert and core concert with him. And then Saturday for worship, we're gonna be here too. So it is amazing. Thank you so much. God bless you. Have a good one. Take care, guys.